Okay, so good afternoon, and we've got the press conference here with Javier Mascherano. And the first reporter was just asking him generally how he feels about how the pre-season has gone so far. Well, when you start a new season, it's all about your enthusiasm being rejuvenated. We've got a number of new players that have come into the team to make us stronger. Those of us who joined the group a little bit later than the others have been able to see that the training has been going very well in the pre-season. The people are very enthusiastic. They're looking forward to the new season and feeling refreshed and renewed. It looks like we couldn't be better situated for the start of the season, because we know at the club that we're playing for has got a lot of ambitions, and we have to live up to those circumstances. He's asking about, you've just lost the most important game probably of your career, the World Cup final. How do you pick yourself up after that? Well, when you have a career like we footballers do, then you go through high moments and you go through low moments. And losing a World Cup final is something that is never going to get completely out of my head. To have come so close to being world champions and not to achieve that is such a disappointment that you never really get over, but life carries on. And now it's a question of turning my mind back to Barcelona and the targets that we have here. Because life is all about finding new challenges, new illusions. And when you play for such a club like this, you can't feel sorry for things that went wrong in the past. That's not going to help you in any kind of way. But we came so close to the title that it's impossible for it not to hurt, and it's never going to entirely be something that we're going to forget. Okay, she's asking about the announcement this morning that FIFA will be maintaining the suspension on the club working on the transfer market. It's a very delicate topic for me to be giving opinions about, because I can't say that I really have an in-depth knowledge of the matter. We're here to play football. That's what we're paid for, and that's what we try to do as well as we can. I just want to say on a personal level that what I've seen in the 4 years I've been here, that this club really looks after the young people very well and does a lot of good for them. Uh, and a number of players have progressed into professional football. Others haven't, because that's what life is, football. But we've given those children the best life they could have possibly expected. That's the only opinion that I'm willing to give on the matter. Otherwise, it's a legal issue, and it's not for me to be making comments on that kind of thing, because I'm not really qualified and I've not exactly got enough information to be able to make a comment, and it's a very delicate issue. A question about him playing at centre-back, and two centre-backs have been signed this season, and it's whether he and Luis Enrique have discussed what position he's going to be playing in this season. perhaps if he can explain a bit about the aspects he's been concentrating on in training, whether as a centre-back or as a defensive midfielder. I've been here for 4 years and my role has never really changed, just being a team member. How can I say, being of use to the coach. And that's what I will continue doing. That's the only way that you can think about things. I'm not here for sticking up signs and protesting anything. I'm here to do the best job I can and to do anything that is asked of me by the manager. And whatever he asks me to do tomorrow or the day after, I'll be doing. And that's also what I've been saying in press conferences. I just want to be useful to the team. As for training, I just try to train in whatever positions the manager asks me to train in. And I just try to do my job as well as I can and in as dignified a way as I can. Luis Enrique, on his day of his presentation, he particularly singled out Mascherano for praise and for the role that he plays in the team. Obviously, I'm very grateful for those words. It's always comforting that people in football and coaches speak well of you, obviously. Those are the people that we see every day that you know. In fact, when he was speaking about me then, we hadn't had the chance to work together yet even. But I hope that I can respond to those words in every training session, and show that I can do everything that he expects from me, because just to make sure he doesn't change his opinion. We're employees of a club. We're here to help the team. And we have to think about Barça as a group, not on an individual basis. I've always been quite clear about that. Just thinking about what's best for the team. And knowing that you always have to be prepared to do whatever you have to do. He's asking whether at the end of last season he felt that he might be leaving the club. Well, it wasn't easy after the difficult season we'd had because of football issues and non-footballing issues that happened. There were some difficult things for us to deal with, but the season's changed. And I was willing for the club to do whatever it wanted to do with me. And if they didn't think that I wasn't good enough to be in this club, because it's a very demanding club, if they didn't think that I should form part of what the club really needs, well, I had no problem with leaving. But the club decided no, that I can still contribute to this team. And so, well, we came to an agreement very quickly. And I'm grateful to the club precisely for this, because there's no need for the club to feel any obligations to me, because I'm just one other member of the team. I wouldn't say I've been a superstar in this team. The Gamper was the first game for several players, and the team looked very good. although Luis Enrique spotted some disconnection at some point in the game. So basically, do you think the team's ready for starting the league campaign this coming weekend? Teams, they're, they're, they're never always quite ready for the first game of the season because you need to get into the rhythm of playing. And particularly in this team, we've got players who've only just come back very late in the pre-season. I don't just mean the players that were at the World Cup, but some that have been signed by the club. But I don't think this is an excuse. But we're in a very demanding club, and we have to make sure that we're in as good a condition as possible for Sunday's game, and obviously get a result, because that's what the fans and the club demands. It's talking about renewed enthusiasm. And if after two rather disappointing seasons, do you think there's a duty to deliver something this season in terms of titles? Well, it's a very thin line when talking about a debt as far as winning titles are concerned. We have to respond as well as we can. The obligation for players at this club has always been to fight for every competition that we're in and try and stay in them for as long as possible. Obviously, we all go out and play to win and to win titles, but sometimes the ball goes in, sometimes the ball does not. Like I say, it's just a question of getting into the final stage of the season, knowing that we still have a chance to win all of the titles on offer. And so we're just hoping that we can have a season that we can enjoy and that the fans can enjoy. That is basically our obligation here. But, but sometimes you make promises and that doesn't make much sense to do so. After some doubts maybe about your future, on Tuesday you're signing a new contract and an improved contract. So has that been a new boost to you? Yes, of course. I'm grateful to the club for the confidence it's shown in me. When you offer the opportunity to stay with a club, well, that's a show of confidence. Confidence from the institution to the player, and I'm thankful for that and very happy. And as I have done in the other years I've been here, I want to try to do the best I can in whatever position I'm asked to play. I've got my defects, I've got my virtues, but I'm going to be the same person, the same professional that I have been until now. Obviously, I try to improve in any aspect that I can and to do what I can for the team. Question about Leo Messi. Talking about the stress at the play of Leo Messi, there's the reaction to him being named the best goalkeeper player at the World Cup when some believed that perhaps he wasn't. Do you think how do you think he is at the moment? No, I think he's as good as always. He seems to be as enthusiastic as ever. And like the rest of us, he's got the sensation of looking forward to a new season and having renewed confidence. As for the criticism he's come in for, well, obviously it's been unfair. In my country, people say if Argentina got so far in the World Cup, it was thanks to him. It would have been impossible for Argentina to be in the final. If it hadn't been for Messi, we would never have been in that final. And it's always upsetting if you're awarded a prize and people criticize people for receiving that prize, but it wasn't him who nominated him for that prize. He was the man who was voted to be named the best player in the World Cup. He was the leader of our team. He was the outstanding player in our team. But when the award was announced, they announced the mechanism of how the vote came about, and the result was that he was the best player in the tournament. It's a shame that they always tend to criticize the winner, but don't criticize the people who award it. Those are the people that you should be criticizing. If he's asking whether he stayed up last night to watch the Super Copa game between Atletico and Real Madrid. Do you think Atletico Madrid will be as strong as they were last season? Who do you think can win the tournament this year? Yes, of course, I watch the game because I like football, and it's always going to be a good game to watch. I love this sport, and a Super Cup final between two great teams is obviously something nice to watch, although, yes, it was a bit late. It kicked off at 11 o'clock in Spain last night. Of course, Real Madrid, are the European champions. They're a great team. They've signed some very good new players also. Atletico, they have lost important players, but I think they look as strong as they did last season. They look solid. And I think they've possibly got more options than they had last season. I think they showed last night that they are just as hungry as they were last season. I'm sure that those are going to be two of the strong candidates to win the title once again in all three competitions that we play. They're going to be very difficult opponents, so we're going to have to be ready for that. Ready for that. Oh, favorites. No, no. I'm just a spectator. I just like watching football, enjoying seeing how teams play, but unbiased. Asking about any changes to the method of work under the new manager. All coaches are different, obviously. They've got their different ways, their different ideas about training. I couldn't really single out any one particular thing that has changed. Each coach has their own way of doing things in training, and I don't like to make comparisons between them. I respect each coach's different methods because football is versatile in that kind of way. That's one of the reasons why it's such a lovely sport, because you can win games in so many different kinds of ways. So now we're basically behind the current manager, who is Luis Enrique. We'll be behind him until the end, and we hope to be able to deliver everything that he expects from the team as quickly as possible. Asking about Victor Valdés and how his absence might affect the team. Victor has almost certainly been the best goalkeeper in the history of this club. Not just because of his performances, but also because of the titles he's won. But he's gone. He made his decision to go, obviously, and now we have to support the new players that have come. We've got three new goalkeepers. We have to support them as much as we can, although we do that for anybody, whatever position they play in. There are big obligations for anybody, wherever they play. We need to make them feel as comfortable as possible and support them in everything that they do. Luis Enrique commented that Mascherano would be a potential captain for this team, but in fact he wasn't one of the four chosen players. No, I didn't really expect that because I think there are players that have been at this team for much longer. Also, I'm from outside. I think that the people who are the captains need to be identified with the club. They need very close links to the club. But that doesn't mean to say that I don't love this club, even though I came from somewhere else. But everybody in the squad has got their own particular opinions. And I'm not a captain, so perhaps I shouldn't be making an opinion on this, but I think that the four captains are perfect choices, and those are the choices that the whole squad decided would be the most appropriate men for the job. Question about Mathieu arriving. They played together in the centre defence the other day. Do you think he's adapted well to the team? Could he be useful, not just playing as a centre back, but also as a full back? Obviously, he's useful, otherwise the club would not have signed him. He showed at Valencia how good he is. And as you just said, he's adapted very well to the club. And let's hope he can help us as much as possible. Yes, I've seen that he's adapted well to the squad and to the way that this club likes to play. I don't see anything unusual that suggests he won't be able to deliver. I'm sure he's going to perform very well and he'll be a very useful player for us. His World Cup was particularly well respected, gained him world renown, particularly in Argentina, where a lot of people were saying he is one of the best players. And what does that represent for him, and also really to as an Argentinian particularly, and also to comment on Tata Martino being named as the new national manager. It hasn't changed me in any kind of way. I'm the same person as ever. We always say in this world that people tend to value things on whether the ball goes in or not, and yet there's so much more to football than that. But under Tata Martino, I always did everything that I thought that was correct under him, and I did the same when I was playing for my country. And obviously, I'm very proud to have been honoured so much in my own country because it's very difficult in Argentina to gain the respect of the people. Uh, but I think the whole group that played in Brazil won the respect of the people. But those are times past, and Now it's a question of being able to perform as well as I can here. But the thing in Argentina is that the fans aren't interested in what you do with your club. All they care about is what you do when you play for the national team. But for me, that's something I now have to turn over. Leave that to the people of my country to think about. But now it's time for me to turn to what I can do for the club I'm at now, which is Barcelona. As for Gerardo, Tata Martino, I'm very, very happy for him. Wherever he's managed, he's shown that he's very capable, a very honest manager, a man who knows a lot about football, great manager, and let's hope he can continue with the momentum that we've got with Argentina at the moment and continue that. For the last 2 years, things have been going extremely well. Obviously, things will have to change to his ways of seeing football, but let's hope that this momentum can continue because there's a lot of self-esteem, high self-esteem among Argentina. We're feeling competitive. It's a question of the next step forward for the team. And as somebody who's part of this, well, just if I can give him a hand with anything, then of course I will. Asking on a personal level how Luis Suarez is fitting into the team and also what he can do for the club. And whether you're a bit annoyed that he can't play for the first 2 months of the season. Well, obviously we're both South Americans, so there is a certain closeness between us. Although, of course, we're used to playing against each other. So it's strange to be friends instead of rivals. But he's not someone I really know from the past, but we do have an awful lot in common. He seems fine to me. I don't need to tell you what kind of a footballer he is. I've always liked him as a player. And the way that he lives football, he's so involved in the game. And I very much identify with the way he plays and what he does. As for the suspension, again, I'm not really the person to be passing opinion on suspensions. That was the decision made. Let's just hope that he adapts as quickly as possible, that he's in perfect condition for when he can play, and that he helps us as much as possible. Asking about the B team players that have been training with the team, but I think they're asking him in Catalan. He didn't quite understand the language. Yeah, of course. A lot of those players have got every chance of playing in the first team. They've been training with the first team. There are a lot of players in the B team who've got a great future ahead of them. And now it really is more than anything down to them. They need to be patient and they need to have the mental strength for when they do get the chance to make the next step and join the first team. I think he's particularly asking about Munir, who's had a great pre-season. Would you say he was an example for the B team players to follow? Yeah, he's a surprising player. He's so mature. He's so young, but he's very mature, very focused. He seems to have his feet on the ground. He's a hard worker. And he needs to keep that mentality because the footballing quality he's got, we can see that. There's no doubting that. You know, we say the same thing about players like Sergi, They just need to keep their heads level to stay strong, because it's not easy to compete in a club where there are so many good players. But they need to know that their chance could come at any time, and they need to be ready for that time. But yes, I'm sure they are, because they're good people. They're good people, and I just wish the very best for those people. Question again about Tata Martino. Whether the players feel kind of responsible for his bad year. No, Tata Martino, he's the kind of person who will take the blame for things, but that's the kind of man he is. But I think we're all to blame for the things that went wrong last season, starting here with the players. He's an honest man, and he had to go, and but he's never going to forget what happened here. But we know about the reality, and obviously here we're all playing. When we win, we all win. When we lose, we all lose. And we're much more to blame for defeats than the manager. Okay, so that concludes the press conference, and listen in next time.